God. These days I wake up with this music. This is my alarm now. Friday the 13th. Ooh, spooky.
Somebody got spooked today for sure.
Yeah, exactly. What happened? Something eventually happened. This is the Cow Corners, Prashant and Jatan. And this is episode 15. Exciting day at the World Cup and a few other tidbits. So I'm here with Jatan and our producer listening on the side. Here we go, Jatan. What do you got for us?
What I got the first upset of the tournament. And what an upset it was. You wanted Nepal to beat England. You wanted Afghanistan to beat South Africa, though that wouldn't have been an upset. You would have wanted Netherlands to beat Pakistan. Such near misses. But
You wanted USA. Don't forget USA. USA to beat either India or Pakistan, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but those the India game did come close. So
Yeah.
but I frankly didn't want USA to beat India, but that's a different discussion. But yeah, that's the fan in me. And when you least expect, like you think Australia is going to just roll over Zimbabwe, and this was not. I mean, this didn't look like an upset. If you watch the game, this was a clinical performance by
Yeah.
Zimbabwe, both in bowling and batting, against an Australian team which obviously is plagued by injuries, but you still expect them to play like world champions. I don't know whether they're rusty or what, but yeah, it was like inexplicable. So yeah, I mean, what happened here? Zimbabwe batted first, 169 for the loss of 2 wickets. So you might think in the current era of going bang bang, there were a few whispers like, did they get less runs with the
Yeah.
amount of wickets they had? But I actually heard the post-match presentation, and Raza was like, he was absolutely happy. The captain, Sikandar Raza, he said he was absolutely happy. If somebody said, let's go fast up front, he said, instead of going for 190, we might have ended up with 140, which was interesting because he said in his past experiences in Sri Lanka, he said these are par scores or good scores, and he would rather want a 170 rather than a 140, right? So, or a 190, whatever. So that was interesting. So they actually made 169. None of the bowlers really did much. I mean, yeah, Ellis was decent. Zampa also, but nobody picked any wickets. Cameron Green, if at all, was pretty impactful with a wicket with only six runs. But yeah, at the end of it, you would think that they were a few runs short. But what happens in the chase? Australia started pretty okay, but they kept losing wickets. They were 29 for 4 at one point, right?
Yeah.
And you always keep thinking that, okay, it's Australia, they're just going to win this game. Like what happened in the 2023 World Cup, I think, where they were almost down and out against Afghanistan, and then
Maxwell.
the Big Show did the Big Show, right?
Correct.
And this time he had the chance again to do that. And he almost kind of was on that path, but kind of got an inside edge onto his stumps. Kind of an unlucky way to get out, but well, it didn't probably hit the ball well, right? Same with head, right? Inside it onto the stumps. But yeah, I mean, that push never came. And with Matt Renshaw trying to score at almost three runs a ball towards the end, yeah, that wasn't happening. And yeah, Zimbabwe actually beat Australia pretty convincingly, 23 runs. Australia all out at 146.
Yeah.
So mind-blowing stuff.
So the thing is, Jatan, like earlier we were saying, Australian team is plagued with injuries. Bowling side, yes, their batting is still full strength. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
think about it,
absolutely.
chasing down 170 to win, it's definitely gettable with full batting strength. So,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
actually very interesting. It's not like they scored runs, but they couldn't defend because their bowling is weak. The batting is full strength. So,
True.
wow.
Except
Yeah.
for maybe Cummins coming at number 8 instead of Dwarcius.
Yeah, but
I've not really seen
if you're
Dwarcius.
relying if you're relying
Yeah, I
on
know.
number eight, seven,
Yeah.
yes, eight too
That
much.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stoinis was injured, so I mean he kind of, while taking a cotton ball chance, which he unfortunately dropped, he got injured and his hand was injured, so he was not effective. But yeah, I mean, 170 you would expect Australia to chase, but that's what, right? Some things started happening in Pakistan when they were not able to chase these runs on turning tracks,
Yeah.
and in Sri Lanka, same thing is happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
funny thing is, Sikandar Raza also was going through cramps, and he didn't finish his quota, right? He just bowled 2 overs. I mean, you expect him to bowl all four. He couldn't because of the injury or temporary injury. But blessing Muzarabani, right? I think he was the
Yeah.
man of the match. 4 wickets for 17, and actually, I saw the initial few overs. He was spot on. Not giving an inch, and once you are bowling that well up front, you make those mistakes, and that's what Australia would.
So here is the thing. Okay, we were talking about scores. What is a par score? Like these days, 160, 170 people think, it's not a big deal. My
Correct.
my my old fashioned look is 160 is 8 runs and over right up front. You got to be
Yeah.
scoring at 8 runs and over for 20 overs. So obviously power play is big, and so you want to definitely either stay or get ahead. Get ahead enough, you still need to score 8 runs and over for 20 overs, right? And especially with deep batting lineup, sometimes you feel, it's okay. I have this. I have kind of what literally happened to India, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Against,
Yeah. USA. Yes.
yes, exactly.
In with Namibia also, they kind of lost their way, even with a big start, right?
Right, exactly.
Mm.
So when we were like 72 for 6 against USA, you
Yeah.
thought that's it, and then you needed someone like Surya to play that amazing innings. But it's interesting, 160 is a pretty tricky 160, 170 is a
Tricky.
tricky. I
Yeah.
think yesterday we talked about that in one of the matches that can trip you. You can't go
Yeah.
bang
That's true.
bang
You mentioned that.
because
You mentioned that.
yeah.
And
So
the thing is, right, on Sri Lankan pitches, it's not that easy, looks like,
yeah.
right? I mean, I don't want to categorize Sri Lankan pitches, but well, they are spin friendly, right? And they for actually, it's good. The Sri Lankan pitches actually provide a good context between the bat and the ball, right? 160, 170 is what you would want scores instead of 230s and 250s, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
because in
agree.
that only you're only watching one thing, just batting. So, and the other thing that stood out, right, absolutely, was the Zimbabwe fielding and
Oh
catching.
yeah.
It's almost like a what the heck moment, because did you see that catch of Ben
No.
Dwarshuis by Munyonga? Oh man, it trumped the catch by Hetmeyer the other day.
Wow.
And that too towards the end of the innings, when Dwarshuis, if that had gone for a four, and if that gave Dwarshuis more confidence with Renshaw, you never know, things could have changed.
Yeah.
Sure, Zimbabwe was ahead at that time, but still. So again, a catch in the air, right at the boundary, right? It was almost a four, and then he just comes out of nowhere and takes the catch. So brilliant. There were a few other good catches also.
I mean, when we were discussing all these teams in detail right up front, with the beginning of the World Cup, in my mind, Zimbabwe always I thought about as really good fielding side, and we were discussing
Yeah,
what happened to them. They had promise for all these years, never, and they create upsets every now and then. They have teams
yeah.
they beat, and they're a good side. So it looks like Zimbabwe beating Australia actually opens up that group even more,
Oh yeah,
right? So
I was just looking at the table before the call, and yeah, I mean, it's like Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe now have 4 points each with playing two
yeah.
games. Australia 2 points, right? So then Australia has two games, Sri Lanka and Oman, where they probably would beat Oman. They have to beat them big, assuming they lose to Sri Lanka, right? So they stay at four, and Sri Lanka plays Zimbabwe in Australia, right? So assuming they win against Australia and Zimbabwe they lose, so if they lose against Zimbabwe and win against Australia, Australia's out.
Yeah.
So Australia has to win the next two games and then also hope that things go their way.
You always hear about this, about Australia and all these World Cup, thinking at some point Australia is going to be out, but then eventually you find out, no, they're still in, and
They're still
sometimes
in
they
and
go
they're
on to
probably
win
going to
it.
win. Yeah.
But good win nonetheless. The other match, Canada UAE, it's good to see UAE actually win that one. So a good
Yeah.
win
Yeah.
for UAE against Canada.
Actually, UAE showed resilience because the last game against New Zealand, their two main batsmen actually made all the runs, right? Mohammad Wasim and Ali Shan, right? Both of them got out cheaply this time. and they were chasing, and then Aryan Sharma stepped up. He kind of carried his bat throughout, and Shoaib Khan, I haven't seen him play, but he made a quick 50 of 28 balls. So you now see four really good batsmen who can, take the responsibility and take it forward. So looks like they have a good core set of batsmen, the top four, who can be relied on to take the game deep. So that's good.
I mean, the third one is U.S. and Netherlands. That's going on.
Going on.
Should be a good. U.S. is heading for a good total. Should be a good
Yeah,
match
they're
to
keeping
see.
track with the run rate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So which is cool. I know. Yesterday's show we had talked about some history about T20 and the Martin Crows or the Crow brothers, and
When I was hearing that, so I wasn't part of that particular part, right? So when I was listening to it later on, yeah, Martin Groh, great batsman. I've seen him, especially in the '92 World Cup. Such an influential player. I
yeah,
haven't really seen his father much. It was probably before my time. Of course, we love us New Zealand players. We discussed how nice
yeah.
guys they are, and so it just struck me like there's a very famous actor, Hollywood actor, who is a cousin of Martin Groh. Who is that?
The Gladiator.
The Gladiator. Russell Crowe is
Russell.
actually a cousin of Martin Crowe. So I just found this out recently. Obviously, the last name matches, but you probably wouldn't think of
Yeah, true.
that. Yeah. So yeah, and one of the in one of I saw some video clips, a little slightly older video clip where Russell Crowe is explaining how cricket is played, right? He's trying to explain to Americans how cricket is played and the test match of it,
Test
right?
cricket.
And test cricket and how it takes 5 days to finish a game, and there might not be a result after that. Well, which is a result, which is the third result, which is a draw,
Draw.
and it's an impactful result, but it's hard to explain. So yeah, that was a funny conversation. Look it up on
Awesome.
X or Twitter. Yeah.
Awesome. I think so. We're going to wrap up our part one. I'm sure we'll have some really awesome, fun things to talk about after the USA Netherlands match. So day seven at the World Cup, and eventually things tipped. There's always a tipping point. A lot of them were about to happen.
Yeah,
Nepal,
it had to happen.
England, blah blah. Eventually, it had to happen, and Zimbabwe beating Australia is the breaking news. So
Sorry, but I still can't get over Nepal losing to Italy.
yeah. See, we have
Sorry, I
our
had to bring
own.
that up.
We're gonna have our own like little disappointments. So
Yeah.
to wrap up, we'll come back again for our part two. This is Kalpana, Prashant, and Jatan, and our producer listening in the side. So long. Bye.
Bye bye.
This is the Cow Corner, Day 7, Part 2. This is Prashant and Siddharth. A lot has happened. It was a tipping point, looks like.
Yeah,
We'll talk a little
yeah.
bit about that and see what Siddharth has to say about the rest of the matches or the rest of the match. Finally, we have been talking about all these upset almost happening, not happening. Something did happen today, and maybe the other
Yeah, yeah.
match probably didn't go the way we
I
would
think
have hoped
two
for.
two upsets, two upsets for sure today.
Yeah,
Obviously first the big one where Zimbabwe beat Australia, and ironically in that one, a couple interesting. I don't know. I think the batting from Zimbabwe was extremely calculated and well executed. They scored 169 for two, so didn't lose wickets. Their opener Brian Bennett stayed in for a while, so that was crazy. But
yeah,
on the Australia innings side, I think some just unbelievably crazy scorecard things like Cameron Green, Tim David, number three and four getting out for ducks on two deliveries each, identically bad. Then you have Glenn
yeah.
Maxwell somehow wandering around at 31 of 32. Obviously, I mean, under tremendous pressure, but still, I mean, 31 of 32, like insane. Then you have Travis Head at 17 of 15. But then you look, Australia has such a deep lineup. You have Matt Renshaw coming in at 6, scoring 65 of 44. But then
Yeah.
I think another what the heck was Muzurabani's, a couple of Muzurabani's wickets were quite, I don't want to say fluky because, sometimes you do deceive the batsman, but like the Josh Inglis wicket was kind of a short delivery at kind of at the waist, not quite at that chest or shoulder or head
Yeah.
height to threaten. And it seemed like it was a ball that Josh Inglis should have hit it right down to the fielder.
Yeah.
Travis Head's wicket was incredibly unlucky. He drove a ball, hit his pad, rolled on to hit the stumps. Tim David's wicket was also incredibly soft, and I think he hasn't really batted much or played much since Boxing Day or since last year. So it seemed interesting that he was the one that came in at 4, not someone like Renshaw. In fact, could that would have been more of a natural number 4. So interesting little things there. But then Australia's just inability to take the wickets of the Zimbabwe batsman was also quite disappointing. I mean, it seems like this unit is missing a X factor like Mitchell Stark or, of course, Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood are injured, but still, and it's good to have a flamethrower like Mitchell Stark in your lineup who can deliver thunderbolt Yorkers and rocket
So one
bouncers.
just to be clear, Mitchell Stark plays T20 internationals.
Um, I'm just my point is that it's missing an X
That
factor
kind,
bowler.
that
Yeah,
kind.
it's
I
missing an
see.
X factor
Yeah,
bowler.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
No, I
let's
hear
look it
you.
up.
No, no,
I'm not sure if he does.
no. But either way, your point is something is not clicking, not even clicking.
Yeah.
Their batting lineup is all good. Their
Mhm.
bowling is little bit. It's doesn't have the leadership needed.
Yeah, it doesn't have an X factor bowler who can take wickets. I mean,
Yeah,
I think Zampa has been extremely disappointing in that regard. At
yeah.
least in this match, he was extremely disappointing, especially if look at the success of even Orion Burrow and Evans, so
Yeah.
Brad Evans. So
This is at a point where Australia, you find the Australian team many times in this situation,
yeah,
is what they
2023.
do next. Right. What happens next, right? Especially their match against Sri Lanka. And as we said yesterday, Zimbabwe Sri Lanka match. We've been talking about that.
Still
And
very important. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And at the beginning of this, when we started talking about World Cup, you had talked about Sikandar Raza as
Hmm.
your like a big MVP type player. I
Yeah.
did see him bat a little bit and also captain, right? I mean, he looks like a really confident individual, and he
Yeah.
scored like 25 of like 14 balls or something, right?
Yeah. 25 and 13. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but the funny thing is, he didn't even bowl, right? He bowled only 2 overs. I think as you, Mama had said, he was cramping. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
they were like I think Muzarabani was the impact player in this match with four of 17. Yeah, so I mean, Australia, none of these teams really control their destiny. It actually has to do with net run rate. So Australia's net run rate is by far the worst out of the 3 teams. So let's just assume that Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe's match is quite close, um, and their net run rates aren't affected that severely because it was a close match, right?
Yeah.
Um, Australia has a chance to overtake Zimbabwe if they can flatten. I believe they're playing
Oman.
Oman. Yeah,
Yeah.
so if they can flatten Oman the way Sri Lanka flattened Oman, they have a chance to overtake Zimbabwe's net run rate. But Zimbabwe is also playing Ireland, so if Zimbabwe flattens Ireland, they can still maintain a really high net run rate. Sri Lanka will be also interesting because they still have to play Australia. So if Australia can also beat Sri Lanka by a lot, that would help. Like it just depends on how much Australia wins by, honestly. So um, I don't know if you would define that as controlling your destiny or not, but some
No,
of the
so
other
they don't
teams
actually.
can. Yeah, if Australia even if Australia wins out, they need to win out by a lot, and they need the other teams to either win by a little or lose by a lot to them. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of factors because only two out of the five teams make it.
Interestingly, this group we had not talked about a whole lot, right? We thought this was a straightforward group.
Hmm.
Correct? This is not the group of chaos.
Oh yeah, this is Group B.
Yeah. But this has become now group of chaos. So,
Yeah, so we'll see.
yeah.
They
All
found
right.
themselves in this situation in 2022,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. Exactly. So
they can
what
fix
happens
that.
next is important.
It's key.
Yeah, and what about this other match, which we thought
Yeah,
was a would be a firecracker?
yeah. So I mean, USA, USA, USA. Um,
USA.
I mean, what a batting performance by them, scoring 196 for six. It really took four individuals to go out there and have significant innings. Of course, the two main ones of the 21-year-old from New Jersey, Plainsboro, New Jersey,
Yay!
Saiteja Mukamala, and the 21-year-old, so quite young. He has a few centuries in ODIs, and I think he has a century in T20 against Oman. So
I mean,
already
my
very
best friend
accomplished
lives
as a
in
young player.
Plainsboro, so
Yeah, yeah,
I am definitely proud. So,
yeah, yeah. And then Ranjane, again, a solid 48 of 24 to propel US to that target of just under 200. Initially I thought that the score was perhaps 10 runs too little because um, Netherlands, all credit to them, fielded their skins off, right? So 196 was a good score, but with the DU factor, it was possible that Netherlands could actually score those runs, and maybe 10 more runs would have batted them out.
see, we had
But
talked about the dew factor, right? Ball not being able to, bowlers not being able to grip the ball, wicket playing better, and all that.
yeah, but
Batting
that is
second.
not what happened by
Yeah.
any stretch of the imagination. I mean, just a beautiful display of spin bowling. Of course, Van Schalkwyk back again
Yeah.
uh, in the wickets, of course. Yeah, he had no double scalps, sadly, in this match, but he had three wickets in total to bring his the World Cup total to 11. And then seven wickets from the spinners. Kenjige playing, I think, his first or being selected for this match.
Yeah.
Harmeet Singh for 21, the pick of the bowlers. And Mohammad Mohsin quietly playing a very key part for the U.S. in the middle overs, taking important wickets and bowling very economically. So if you look at the standings, I think this has very big implications and puts U.S. in a position to actually potentially overtake Pakistan if they manage to blow out Namibia. Um, and of course, Pakistan needs to lose to Namibia and lose to India. But the net run rate is only zero point 0.4 different, so it is definitely possible. But I think the bigger implication is for Netherlands because now their net run rate got hit very, very hard because
Yeah.
of this match. So for them, it will be a much more uphill climb to overtake USA, especially because they're playing India in their final match. So um, this result was honestly, it might have been a kind of a worse result than the Australia one in terms of Netherlands' prospect and for the rest of the tournament. So
Yeah.
this was
Yep.
really hard, I guess. I mean, it was
Hmm.
just a hammering, honestly, by the U.S. They were just better in every department, except maybe for the fielding.
So it's interesting, right? Netherlands, when they started the campaign and how their campaign is going, going in
Yeah.
a different direction than the
So
way
yeah.
it started.
I
So,
mean, they lost that close game to Pakistan, and
yeah,
I think that
that Fahim drop.
you got to win those games, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Fahim drop, and again, Netherlands a very good fielding side because like they value their fielding.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one reasoning that the Netherlands gave, which I think is implications for associate teams, like Namibia has also spoken on this, is the lack of lights in their respective host countries. So they don't get to practice under the lights unless they play in
Interesting.
international franchise
Yep.
cricket, basically. Um, and generally speaking, that of course that affects batting as well, but it also affects fielding because when the ball goes up above the lights, you lose it. So you have to have the experience of playing with lights, having the ball go above them, but still tracking the ball. And they fielded pretty well, I think, in this match. So that wasn't the effect. Perhaps that affected their batting. But all credit to the USA bowlers, to be
Yeah.
completely sincere.
Yeah, and I watched the match a little bit, and I totally random thing, but I think Harmeet Singh was fielding at point, right? So
Hmm.
he was bowling well and he was fielding at point. The ball was like literally like kind of always continuously going to him. So there was a period of like couple of overs when almost every ball kind of was hit to him in a pretty significant way, right? It's trying to almost like a cut or a drive going by him. So he was a busy campaigner. Um, we both bowling as well as fielding, and looks to be like really energetic player, and another four-fer, right?
Mm.
So quite a few bowlers actually doing that. Other thing I heard was the first time, and it's not like Netherlands and USA have played many times against each other, but this is the first time USA beat Netherlands in a T20 game. So, they seem like super happy. And I was trying to think, sometimes you you become so engrossed with all these top teams and following them. When I was seeing USA, whenever they would get a wicket, they would be happy, and I'm like, why are you so happy? It's such a big deal beating Netherlands. I'm like, come on, dude, you don't
Yeah,
understand. They're playing an
they're
international
playing for their
match.
country. Yeah,
Correct. I mean, come on.
respect.
I felt almost embarrassed a little bit thinking that way, but
It's
I'm just
okay.
being very honest here, right? You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey, what does that win mean? I'm like, come on, this is an international match they're playing, and they were like really fired up and focused, and they also found out this is the first time they beat Netherlands. So, which is, I think it's pretty significant, especially for teams that are like pushing the envelope. So
yeah.
good to see that. When you mentioned Shubham, right? What popped in my head is he was the bowler, unfortunately, who had dropped Sky's catch during India-US match.
Mm.
Uh,
That is
yeah,
true. That was his
yeah,
first. That
yeah,
was his
debut,
debut.
debut, correct.
Debut.
I do have actually a random topic I want to discuss quickly, and then I'll pick it up again when Jatan is here. It's about DRS. Last time I ranted about how I don't like Duckworth Lewis. So here is my thing with DRS. It's not about whether I like DRS or not. Okay. That's not the point. My point is this. Anytime a review is taken, what is the first thing they do?
Check for the bat.
Front on vision, please.
Yeah.
Can
Oh
I
yeah,
see
yeah,
the front on vision, please? But it is for to
the
see
bat. Yeah.
almost always, always, always they say, oh, the
Yeah.
ball is too
Let's
close
get
to
the
the
game
blah,
going.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you will see like a huge gap between bat and ball. They would still look
Yeah.
for the
Oh my God.
sneako or
Useless.
ultra edge. So my point is, why do you look at the front on view at all?
Stupid.
So that is, it ticks me off. And you know me. If something ticks me off, I'm looking for it. And I'm like, in today's match, US Netherlands also, there were few reviews that were taken. And I was like, don't look at the front on vision because you are going to go look for the ultra edge. And I think that's the right thing to do, right? Because sometimes the glove, it's too close, blah blah. What's the point of looking at the front on vision at all? Just save the time.
Useless. Useless.
Look at the ultra edge, unless there is like some extra money you need to spend if you ask for ultra edge and you're trying to
Unless.
minimize. I don't know, but you ask for it almost all the time.
Yeah, it's like 96%, maybe that 4%. The McKinsey consultants told them that 4% would save them $10 million.
Exactly.
So, oh man.
I find that whole thing bizarre. I would say just start with ultra edge or sneako, and then go to ball tracking. Simple. Why do you look at the front on vision? I don't get it. Especially because at times it takes a while. So, and they want to make this like really fast.
It just takes too long.
Yeah. And so maybe I'll talk about this when Jatan is here. I also looked at actually how the umpires fare, like which umpires are like the top umpires and the overturning of the decision, right? So I want to look at, there is obviously an elite panel of umpires on the, Erasmus and Nitin Menon, and there are about 10, 15 of them. I think they are the elite on the elite panel. But I was looking for some stats on overturning a decision, right? Plus umpire's call. Anyway, I wanted to bring up the DRS topic about why look at the front on vision at all. So, we'll see. I'm sure Jatan has some really intelligent and I'm sure he'll have some thoughts. So this is a wrap. We'll be back at it again. This is the Cow Corner episode 15. You're losing track of the episode, which is a good thing. And again, as I've said before, would love to see, get some feedback, reviews, likes, suggestions, everything.
Thank you, listeners.
Until next time. So long.
Peace.
This episode was produced by Mukta Phatak. Music by Joe Reynolds.